Maybe. And there it is. And this will be terrifying.
We'll do it.
This will be exciting, guys. I'm excited.
It's gonna be fun.
I hope it'll either be really fun or no, it'll come and it'll just be the same show as usual. And then
Yeah.
The logo or my logo did pop up on the stream. I just checked briefly.
Fantastic.
All right.
Well,
yeah, let's do it. Let's get it.
And times a thumb down the YouTube stream. No.
Yeah. Get ready to hate this forever. The good news is I'm just gonna blue screen my computer after we're done. Hey everybody, welcome to the USL show live, which is crazy. I'm your host, as always, Bethlehem's favorite son, the best self-deprecator in USL, Evan Villela. Joined, as always, sometimes they're my soccer colleagues, sometimes they're my soccer acquaintances, but they are, in fact, always my soccer friends. It is the waviest man in the St. Louis metropolitan area, the cream in your Irish coffee, Phil Grooms.
Hey, it's good to be here. I'm excited about tonight's show.
It's gonna be a banger, as the kids would say.
A banger.
Yeah, for sure. Also joining me, we have the man that puts the show in show notes, our no longer international correspondent, Ryan Allen.
Hello, wearing a Celtic kit at the moment for the week before the Scottish Premiership season begins.
Okay. I can respect that. I mean, you've actually been there, so it's understandable.
All the more reason.
Yeah. Also joining us, I'll save quote unquote the best for last, unless you're from a certain city. It is our version of Chuck Palahniuk and Elliott Smith, all just kind of wrapped into one. If you asked him to find a singular book in Powell's World of Books, he will tell you to do it yourself. The biggest man in USL, Big Kevin McCamish.
What's up? How's it going?
Love it, man. It's been an would you say it's an eventful? I can't talk. Eventful day for you today?
Perhaps.
Yes. Okay.
I don't think it as eventful on this end of a certain transaction, which I'm sure we'll talk about a lot today.
Maybe
as the other side of the transaction, but
sure,
it's been a day.
And last but not least, if the USL was Equestria, he would be our Rainbow Dash. If he hates your team, it's A, because he has the facts to back it up, and B, because you're probably right. He actually does not like them very much. It is our dear friend Pony.
Yeah, that trend's going to keep up again today, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably. Oh, dear God, there's actually people in the chat. Oh, no. Hi, Harry. Hi, Brian. Hi, Taylor.
Stage
How are
fright.
you? Anyway, this is terrifying. I would like to point out, because I totally forgot, I botched the intro, we are brought to you by the lovely folks at Roughneck Scarves, your home for MLS, USL, national team, club, personal and or fundraiser use. Check those guys out, roughneckscarves.com. Also brought to you and produced by the lovely Mike Sparks' brain-trusted Beautiful Game Network podcast. BGN.FM on the internet and at the BGN FM on Twitter. Also at the USL show is where you can find us on Twitter, which I got that out of the way because you wouldn't be listening to this right now if you didn't know that. But also just because it's easy to do those than to not do those. Guys, I'm kind of stalling. I guess we'll stop. We'll stop
right now about the new written division for BGN, which is
we can. We totally can. Let's keep doing that. So there's a BGN written division coming up. We have a lot of wonderful people that are interested in doing it for sure. I'm putting together a little something for it in terms of how to get started talking to clubs in USL, which I think people will find helpful.
That'll be good.
With some help from our dear friend Dan from Unused Substitutes. West Bowling is going to help, which is crazy because that guy used to do this for a living and now does PR. So you're getting it from both sides of the spectrum from him, of Golden Goal Nashville. So be on the lookout for that. But it's spearheaded by Carson Merck of Dynamo Theory, Switching Play Soccer, pretty much anything out in kind of Vegas or Houston, it's all him. And we're super excited that that's getting off the ground because it's legitimately blowing up. It's really cool. So definitely go check that out. If you're interested, either DM us or you can DM literally any other podcast or BGN .fm as well. I think the Twitter handle is just BGN Written.
That's right.
Cool. So check that out for sure because it's really fun. It's a lot of really good discussion that most people aren't privy to just because it's in a Slack channel. Yeah. All right. So I think we're done now with the shilling and the stalling. I guess we'll just talk about it. Today, FC Cincinnati and respectively Portland Timbers and the San Jose Earthquakes have announced that Cincinnati has acquired Fernando Adi from the Portland Timbers as well as Fatai Alashe from the San Jose Earthquakes. I believe Alashe is joining on loan right now until 2019. Adi they bought outright. So, with 10 minutes on the clock, as I start my timer.
That's not enough time.
Because yeah, at this point. Because I don't want to talk about this all night. Because there has actually been some really interesting things happening within the league and games and things, and I want to get to those. And there's other news that's like more pertinent than 6 months from now, so that'll be cool. So, guys, first of all, I guess, Kev, we'll kind of let you point it because Fernando Adi is the bigger of the two names, and it's a former Timber. Yep. What kind of player are Cincinnati getting here?
Well, they're getting probably one of the best target strikers in MLS. I'm certainly going to miss him. I've really loved how he's able to just play with his back to goal. He's put 54 goals away in like 120-something games. The second highest scorer for the Portland Timbers across all eras. Was first for a brief while last season, but got a little bit injured. Valeria stepped up, had himself an MVP season, so he's the in first place right now. But for someone that came in 2014 to do that many goals, he's probably the best striker we've ever had. He will be missed, so he'll do some damage, I think, for Cincy next season in 2019.
Yeah. Taylor brings up a good point. In the chat, in that there is rumors coming out like this. It was weird because it was like late afternoon. It kind of came out because Kev, I think we can, now that it happened, I think we can talk about it. You said that the initial thing you heard from the Timbers was that it was going to be a MLS Eastern Conference team, which just makes sense.
Yeah.
You don't want a guy like that hurting you in your own division. If you can avoid it.
So initially when this came out, the first thing we heard about was on Saturday as the game versus Houston was about to start. News was coming out saying, hey, this is going to be Fernando Adi's last game. A deal has been completed, just a deal, not knowing whether it was going to be in the league or out of the league. The very next day on Sunday, we got confirmation that he was going to the Eastern Conference. Now, we were told MLS team, which, of course, Cincinnati would classify since it's a future buy kind of thing. But at that time, there were rumors that Montreal Impact were very much interested. We can confirm that Montreal was, in fact, interested. I assume that Cincinnati, offered more money, which is a good thing. That's a great signing to make as one of your first signings going into MLS. You can't get much better than a proven entity in Fernando Adi. So it's good for Cincinnati there. So I wouldn't say that these rumors that they might loan Adi to Montreal definitely have some weight behind them if they are they could very well be true. The only reason I can see that happening is that maybe USL and MLS, maybe more so USL, were like, they kind of said, hey, here's a DP player. We've never had a DP player loaned down from an MLS team. Can we do something else to get him minutes the rest of the season? And then that's probably at a time where Montreal is like, hey, we're still interested. Can we make something happen? Portland at this point I don't think Portland has no say in this anymore because Adi has been completely 100% sold entire contract moved. So whatever Cincinnati do with Adi is entirely up to Cincinnati.
Phil, Ryan, Pony, I don't know who wants to jump in, but I guess just kind of your general thoughts on, I mean, obviously, and to get it out of the way, you know, Adi's going to be the guy that steals all the headlines and everything, obviously, but, you know, Alashe in and of himself is a great player to build on. And we're not really debating whether or not these signings are good because they're phenomenal. It's just that, you know, these guys are going to get half a year in USL for basically free.
Yeah, I mean, not free per se, but as far as the USL squad team is concerned, they didn't have to buy Adi at all. All they're doing is seemingly paying his salary, and
right.
Same with Adi or with Alashe. They're just paying his salary, or even part of his salary, maybe not even all of it, because we don't know what the loan deal is exactly, but it is a loan down from the MLS version of FCC.
Yep.
To the USL version of FCC. But if we want to dig into this right now, the big controversy, and I hadn't really considered it until I saw Mike Pendleton's tweet early on, is this what I like to dub it as MLS funny money, the use of TAM and GAM, buy a player on the MLS level and then ship him down for, you know, much less money to the USL level. Okay.
Yep.
And the weird part of that is that GAM and TAM is any other USL team, say Phoenix, who might have had the money to do this and might have wanted to try. They wouldn't, let's be clear, they wouldn't. But if they wanted to, they would have to go to Portland and say, hey, we have this much cash we'd like to give you to buy him. Okay. And so they would give straight up cash money, that's an open market. USL, in my opinion, is a very, one of the more pure leagues to have been seen in the United States over time. And so cash is what everyone else uses in the world to buy a player. And so that's what they had to use.
And even we can even look at it from this way, because it happened this year. Bethlehem Steel, the USL team, sold Brandon Allen to Nashville SC, the USL team. Those are two clubs, you know, one literally right now in Bethlehem, another one in Nashville that will be in MLS, but they made a USL to USL deal. There was no, oh hey, if you can hang out for 6 months, we'll pay you when the day after MLS Cup ends, which is the first day of the MLS season. We'll pay you all your money, you know, then.
Yeah, and so and that's part of it is that this is in some ways it's a credit card because they don't have to pay right this second. Their money's not due till 2019 or later. I don't even know when the deadline is for that, for the money to be transferred over. But not only that, but TAM and GAM isn't just like cash. Like Portland can't just take cash from Phoenix and put it in without it hurting their salary cap. Whereas TAM and GAM can be used and it doesn't go against the salary cap, right? So that just takes cash and adds value to that. In my opinion, perhaps doubles or more the value of just one straight dollar. A TAM GAM dollar's worth, in my opinion, double or more. And so this, in my opinion, this is where I get angry. And I think this is the point that Mike Pendleton made initially, and it's really evolved over the day. As I've talked to Boston has been a huge help. The CST guys in general, Brian Weigel, and even like RVA is Red, Brian Cook, they've all been very helpful in this discussion as we all argue and get dramatic about this. But you know, this is the part that hurts us because it's not something that any USL side could have just come in and given cash for. FCC has a distinct advantage over anyone else in USL. And to me, that's the part that irks me. And that's where I start getting a little heated and emotional, if you can't tell already.
Yeah. Now, you're exactly right. I want to kind of just clarify a couple things. So it's exactly like a credit card transaction. They've used, like, I'm going to basically buy this player from Portland using my MLS credit card. I don't have to pay that bill for another 6 months. And then the MLS Cincinnati will take Adi and do whatever they choose with him, whether it's loan him to their USL Cincinnati or loan him to an MLS Montreal or do whatever. one thing about his contract, he is on an MLS contract. This is not a USL contract at all, because Portland up front immediately has the DP spot freed up, and all cap space has been cleared from Audi. So the entire MLS DP contract has been moved to Cincinnati. That's what they bought. He's on $1.933 million a year. So Cincinnati bought Audi. Like, that contract is theirs now. So whatever they do with him, they're paying him that much money.
Yep.
So it's probably better if they loan him to MLS, just to kind of avoid, the sight that something might be squirrely. What they've done is not against the rules, because there's no rule for this. I don't think anybody really thought about this thing happening.
No.
Something else to consider is, don't fully blame FC Cincinnati. Gavin Wilkinson, the GM of Portland Timbers, he's shown to be really, really good at making deals and finding, I wouldn't call them loopholes, but finding things that just haven't been done before and are not not explicitly against the rules. Making backroom deals so that, players don't get picked up in expansion drafts, selling getting some deadweight off contracts. He's been fantastic at that. So it could very well be that Cincinnati was like, hey, we heard you're shipping Audi, we'd like to buy him. Or, could have been Gavin's like, hey, you guys have some money next year. Are you guys interested in Audi? And they're like, oh, that's a great idea. We don't know how that worked, so I don't want to 100% blame Cincinnati.
Sure.
The other thing with the money that Portland got, they don't get to use it until the end of the 2018 season. So the day after MLS Cup is over, Cincinnati gets that 2019 funny money. It goes over to whatever, they paid whatever to Portland. And that's when they can use it. Now, with TAM specifically, the targeted allocation money, the targeted funny money, that can actually be pulled forward. You can pull targeted allocation money that you have in your quote-unquote bank, whatever they have. You can pull that forward. So half of this Audi sale, Portland could actually use this season, because they obviously have a contract signed that it can come, that Cincinnati is going to give it to them. So they have it now, so they can pull that forward if they decide to use it in the summer transfer window, which for MLS is going to close on next Wednesday, the 8th, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's kind of how that's going. The reason why everybody's kind of, up in arms about this, totally valid for all fans who are not Cincinnati fans, is that, FC Cincinnati have this fantastic top class for MLS level striker, DP striker. No USL side has had such a talented and expensive player. And I don't think there's any rules in USL explicitly saying that they can't use him, because a USL doesn't have a salary cap, right?
Correct.
Right.
So Cincinnati can do this. They're well within their realm to do this. One man is not going to, guarantee them undefeated success for the rest of the season and winning the cup. He'll certainly help. They'll certainly get more goals, thus more points. But it's not going to be like an entire paradigm shift of Cincinnati being super invincible.
Yeah, I want to reiterate that too, because let's be really super clear here that FCC is, as far as rules are concerned, have done absolutely nothing wrong. I mean, that is plain as day. Everybody knows that. So all arguments aside, they've done nothing wrong. And to kind of clear up, I just want to say this real quick. I got some information from Nicholas Murray from the USL. You guys all read his articles on Twitter and on USL.com and USLsoccer.com. And he sent me a response today saying that this is not unprecedented. This has happened before. Maybe not on this level. That's me saying that. But what Nicholas sent me, and I'll give you just one of the three players he talked about, is when Orlando moved up from USL Division 3 at that time to MLS the year before, they picked up a guy named Yordani Alvarez. This is not a guy I'm familiar with, but you guys might have heard of him, in 2014. And they didn't buy him with straight up cash like we would all like to see around the world. They bought him with a 4th round MLS super draft pick. So, and that was in 2017. So
It's a lot cheaper though.
Yeah,
a lot cheaper though. That's, I mean, the value of a 4th round pick probably $50,000 at this point, something like that. Guys, we have 2 other people on the show.
Yeah, I want to hear what Pony says.
I would love. Well, no, hold on. I got to let Ryan speak first because we got to end on Pony because we don't know what he's going to say or do. Ryan, you mentioned earlier about everyone's second favorite English club, Chelsea FC, and how they run things, and it's a little similar. So I'll let you talk about that or whatever else really you want to talk about in terms of what happened here.
Well, it's interesting with the mentioning of at least the loan deal because I saw a few things on Twitter talking about saying how Chelsea loves to take advantage of their loan system, but that's also led to them losing players such as Salah, De Bruyne, Mbappe, just to name a few.
Yep.
But also, I respect Cincinnati's at least ambition for this to try it. Phil, like you mentioned with Nicholas Murray, that Orlando City had the same type of mentality. And what Cincinnati's doing right now is definitely building upon what they have. I mean, compare it to what Minnesota did, who entered in MLS with no DPs and lost 5-1 to Portland in their first opening match and have just now started to become competitive. What Cincinnati's doing is at least trying to prepare their roster for MLS from the get-go so they can be competitive right off the bat. It just definitely helps it. And more so with the fact that without a salary cap in this league, teams are welcome to do this whenever they want. Rangers FC was located down in the Scottish lower tiers when they were dropped from the Premiership. They were welcome to spend out whatever they wanted to get back to the Premiership. So it's more based around it's not really unethical for them to, or sorry, illegal for them to spend whatever they want, but it is at least showing a distinct advantage without the salary cap that Cincinnati can do this.
Yeah, it's fair enough. Pony, it is your time to shine. Yeah.
Okay, so
laugh about
I'm a little scared now, guys. The good news is we're live streaming, so if anything actually happens to any of us, it's at least public record, so that's great.
see, there we go. So first of all, like I said, Cincinnati did nothing wrong really here. They found a way to exploit a rule that did not exist, and they should have made that move even if the rest of us are kind of questionable or upset about the way they did it. My biggest gripe is the move was something that very few teams could actually have made. Only them and Nashville really could have made this type of setup. And to me, that's where I get more upset. It's not that Cincinnati decided to spend an extra $3 million that no one else was even willing to consider throwing out there. It's that they had a secret tool that no one else actually could use. And that's where I think it goes into more of slightly unfair as opposed to smart or creative signings.
Yep.
But overall, I think also what we need at the end, well, I think the thing is this is also Cincinnati going all in. With all of this now, they're basically set to anything that does not win the cup. Yeah, if anything, if they do not win the cup, they're going to kind of be seen as a team who tried to throw all this money and do these unique moves on their final year and then didn't win it. Because if they didn't win it, they're going to be remembered for their attendance, and they're going to be remembered for them almost trying to buy the cup in their last year and failing.
And the Open Cup run, maybe.
Yeah, and the bite, those things.
Yep. There it is, all four. Well, gentlemen, we did it. 17 minutes.
Yeah, right. I have a lot more to say. You want to move on?
I do.
We got to move on. I mean, we can absolutely make an entire episode out of this.
We could talk forever about this and get basically nowhere, but there's, 2 more expansion teams are maybe in the works, and then we have a whole slate of games. And like I said, interesting things are happening in the league and in the table and things like that. And teams aren't beating teams that they're supposed to beat and vice versa. So yeah, we gotta move on.
I will say I have an opinion piece coming out tomorrow.
There you go.
Division, and it has a lot more in it. So please read that tomorrow. I want to hear responses.
We'll link it. Yeah. I guess the one that's not as or the two that aren't as super news intensive. Where is it? Right. USL actively looking into Jacksonville. Nothing to do with the Armada, apparently. But I mean, this is a smart move. That's a good soccer city as we've seen with the Armada in the NASL days. Sorry, the league we don't talk about days. And yeah, I mean, it'd be really cool if there was a team out in Jacksonville to spark a three-way perhaps rivalry with Tampa and then Jacksonville and then maybe Orlando City B, wherever they end up, if they end up somewhere.
It's a good point. I didn't think of that. That'd be awesome.
That'd be cool.
There's a lot of southeast teams in that D3, that possible D3 happening.
There is.
That'll be cool.
That would be really cool. And then the other team might be coming in is USL Omaha in Nebraska, which also I know what Bug Eaters FC are out that way.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, I mean, there's not a whole lot out there, so that would be a really cool spot. A lot of really interesting, really diverse markets coming into play for USL here. I honestly, before the season started, was talking to Mike Catalano, who plays for Bethlehem Steel, went to University of Wisconsin, Madison, and he was saying that there's not really an academy out in Madison, so having a pro team out there would be a really cool way to jumpstart that vibe, and it's a really cool city. So definitely be on the lookout for those. Again, the Jacksonville one, we don't know. It might be happening, might not be happening. Same kind of deal with Omaha. Whenever you see USL and then a city name, it's probably legit just because we're not at that point yet. But yeah, who knows? Who knows? Pony, Ryan, Kev, Phil, thoughts on either of those two cities or teams out there?
Is there any relation? Like, is Omaha going to be replacing Swope Park, or
I don't know about any of that, and I would be very surprised if that ends up happening, so I don't think so.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything as far as like Swope Park going away. They're pretty set on what they've got their little system going on.
It's really funny just because like for the amount of like really solid rumors that end up happening, there's always one part of it where you're like, what?
Right.
Like where with that one, it's like, yeah, it's going to be a team in Omaha. And you're like, oh, that's cool. And then it's like, and it's going to replace Swope Park. And you're like, what? Yeah. And we all know what happens when you start throwing around teams that might fold.
There you go. I think the big story, if you want to zoom out a little bit, is
Sure.
kind of like how there kind of seems to be two ways to kind of get a USL team in your city, and one seems to be the cooperative way, and one seems to be the we're taking
territorial
over
rights way
against you. Yes.
Good segue.
Is it
Thank
too
you.
early to kind of talk?
No, not at all. We're going to talk about it since you brought it up. Now, I didn't hear anything from the league. I'm assuming none of us heard anything from the league about this in terms of how it came up and how it happened.
I know a week or two ago, maybe more. I forgot his name, but the GM for Chattanooga FC resigned is the word I was looking for.
Yes, left the club to join this venture at D3.
Yes.
I guess we'll just talk about it.
Beginning.
A businessman from Utah, whose name I do not remember, bought the USL D3 territorial rights, so basically franchise rights for Chattanooga, Tennessee, and they are not going to be affiliated with Chattanooga FC. Now, I will say we have a dear friend, Club and Country Nashville, whose actual first name is Tim. A little bit ago did an interview with the president of Chattanooga FC, the actual club, and the whose first name incidentally also happens to be Tim. And the president of that club felt like USL was a stopover kind of league, very adamant about not wanting to join USL. And I tweeted out earlier in the week that I'm okay with this if two things are true. One of them being that USL just kind of puts these franchise rights up for auction, basically, and whoever wins it, and they don't have any influence over who that is or any influence over the result of what that happens. It's just a free market. Here you go. Here's how much this costs. Can you bring us that money? Great. The other thing I'm okay with is if Chattanooga FC's owner, which he's apparently done in the past, said no thanks to USL, and they went, okay, well, we'll do this with or without you. That would apparently be a mutual feeling between the owner of that club currently and USL. Now, if they just kind of like went, hey, guy from Utah, you can buy, that's not great. But I don't think that's what happened. But it is a little too early to confirm that. But I think there was a mutual agreement to disagree or to not enter into business here between USL and the current ownership of Chattanooga FC. And it'll be interesting if when we ever hear anything about why Chattanooga's GM just kind of up and left in the middle of the night. So I don't know if anyone has any other thoughts, but feel free to express them, Kev.
Yeah, the only thing that kind of confuses me is I don't even really understand why a businessman from a halfway
Place
across
that
the country would be even interested in buying the franchise rights to a D3 team in a completely different state. I'm with you. Like
market? If I don't know.
Well, I'm with you in that if it was done in one of the first two ways, there's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
But it's just one of those things where I'm just like, why? Why does the Utah investor care? Why does he want to go to Tennessee? He could. I mean, it's just one of those things where like he could really, if he could pick anywhere. I mean, he must like Chattanooga. There's nothing wrong with Chattanooga. I've never been
Big
there.
Fan of Tennessee. Real quick, Terrell Sorrell's in the chat. Thank you so much. Bob Martino, name of investor from Utah. Sean McDaniel, Chattanooga's GM. Ryan, you're from the Southeast. Well, Ryan, you live there. You're not from there. You're from Ohio, which I apologize for. But anyway, any thoughts on like this happening, or like what's going on, or just in general, or like if someone a couple years ago said, hey, we're going to buy the Wilmington, not to be this guy again, but we're going to buy the Wilmington license, and you knew that was going to keep soccer in your city, is there like a silver lining there at all, or is this just like this guy's taking our team and we don't like that?
Well, Taylor in chat is right. I was getting when Kev was going through talking about Utah, I was getting reminiscent of Anthony Precourt, and when the Hammerheads were bought a few years ago by the person who owned Capelli. I'm blanking on his name. He lives up in New Jersey at the time. When he bought the Hammerheads. But it's interesting that basically you would go through the market. Now we can get into a full discussion of an open soccer market all we want, but I'll probably leave it out of that. But I've been to Chattanooga. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're right.
But I've been to Chattanooga before. It's a nice city. I've driven by Finley Stadium, which is a very great complex. The United States men's national team has played there in the past. But I think it'll be interesting to see is this new Chattanooga team, which apparently the domain name has already been registered to Chattanooga SC, which probably isn't by accident that it sounds so similar to the NPSL side. If they get the stadium deal at Finley Stadium, is it interesting if fans will say, it's like, okay, this is a 6-month season, we could see more soccer? Or will they say, okay, the NPSL is only 2 to 3 months if we make the playoffs, will we stay loyal to that? And although I will at least top it off that I saw this name floating around for the Nashville side, the only accessible name for a soccer club in Tennessee is 10 SC.
And then they could have a derby with Penn FC called the Really Literal Names Derby.
No, just the Penn and 10. Or something. I don't know. Yeah.
But you were there. Your finger was on it.
Soccer club name ever for a club in Tennessee.
Yeah.
If that's not the name, they need to just stop.
Yeah. Fold immediately. Pony, your thoughts?
I don't think there's too much really here. Sure. At least for me, it's kind of interesting to see what wins out. You don't like seeing two clubs compete in the same city, especially on different levels like that. But it'll be interesting to see what league they both hold to, and I hope both teams actually exist in the future and not one doesn't cannibalize the other one, because that's not good for anybody.
I will say we have seen plenty of teams survive with basically no fans in USL. So if people in Chattanooga don't really want to support the new team, they don't really have to. I don't know. Being mad and everything on Twitter is great, but actually putting that into action is a completely different thing. And if people, in Chattanooga have personal opinions and feel that they were slighted by Bob Martino or anybody like that, in this you can certainly vote with your wallet.
Yeah, and I think you should, because this isn't.
Oh, you totally should.
Yeah, and I'm not going to even say who's right, but I do want to say that I get the feeling that Chattanooga had a chance to kind of join USL D3 first. Yep. And it could have gone the way of Fresno, where Fresno had
or even Georgia Tormenta, I think, would be a better.
You're right. So
comparison, maybe.
Tormenta got an offer from USL saying, "Hey, would you like to try D3? You're one of the best PDL squads. We'd love to have you." Blah 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 blah. They join. Everybody's happy. There's no argument over who is the dominant team in the city. This did not go down that way. Right. Not only that, there was a split in the front office over it. So
yeah, that's the one thing where I'm like, ooh, wait a minute.
This is bad and bad. I don't like that it happened this way, and unfortunately, capitalism's going to decide. And so, people, if you want to decide, like Evan said, use your wallet to decide.
Guys, there was actual honest-to-God soccer played this week in the USL, and it is our duty. It is our mission. We have been tasked by the people that ran the show before us and Mike Sparks whipping us constantly to recap soccer matches for you. So here we go. Oklahoma City 0, Fresno 0 in the first of many games where I went, that doesn't look right. Decently boring 0-0 draw between two teams, I suppose.
Yeah, but I think on this one, it's two teams there. It was kind of disappointing for both teams because they're both trying to make a run right now at doing something playoff-wise. Both have the talent. Oklahoma City, after starting the season with abysmals, turned it around. And Fresno also has been playing good as of late. I was pretty surprised. Not this as much that this was a draw, but it was a low-scoring draw.
Same.
Yeah. One offside call. That's pretty good. Fresno defensively solid. 9 shots, 1 on target is never a great recipe for success. Unless it goes in, I guess. But it didn't. So 0-0 the scoreline there. Moving on, friend of mine, probably the show eventually. Taylor Washington gets his first professional goal. And as much as I was telling the guys at Speedway Soccer Pod to stop moving their players around and putting them out of position, it worked out here. He gets the only goal in a 1-0 Nashville win against Atlanta United 2. Trying to think. Should Nashville panic right now? Because they had another result later in this week, right? That did not go too well for them in a 2-0 loss to Toronto FC 2. So what's going on in Nashville?
They should have bought Fernando Adi.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that's the joke, but I truly wonder if even with Fernando Adi, whether they would even score goals, because it just seems to be a system problem. They've had too many quality guys come in and out of there.
And I mean, they have good guys that can score, like the proven goal scorers is what I wanted to say. In Lebo Maloto and Brandon Allen's is a guy that can finish it well, that used to be able to finish at this level. And it hasn't been there for him. So yeah, again, not terrible defensively. They didn't look very good against Toronto. But, I mean, Luca Ocello and Matthew Serbley are not slouches for that TFC2 team. I don't know.
Sorry, at least with Nashville in their last 7 matches, they have basically only 2 wins, both come against Atlanta United 2 at home, of a 3-0 result back in June and then a 1-0 result from this match. But other than that, outside of those wins in the last 7 matches, Nashville have not scored a goal, including 4 losses to Indy, Charlotte, Ottawa, and TFC2 against Cincinnati.
That's crazy. That's really bad. Don't tell anybody that that's the thing, because they'll be upset. Next match, San Antonio FC 1, Colorado Springs Switchbacks 0. Kyle Murphy with the 55th minute goal. Agwafe Ajekwa with a really dumb red card in the 90th minute. I actually watched most of this match, and San Antonio did well to frustrate Colorado here, for sure.
San Antonio's hot right now.
They're very good.
As hot as it gets right now, and it may be a little early. That's the only worry I would have, but I think we'll talk about this a little later. But Kyle Murphy had a banger in this one, and the next game was even better. So we'll talk about it in the next one.
Ironically enough, Jack McInerney scores against the affiliate club for his first pro team, Philadelphia Union. 86-minute goal, literally. And listen, guys, Jack McInerney is like 5'10", 5'11". He's not tall. No one bothers to mark him on this corner, and Indy scores, and that's it. There should have been more goals in this game. There weren't. Indy get out of Bethlehem with a but they steal 2 points, which is interesting because Bethlehem did that to Indy in their first meeting. And looking at the calendar over there on my wall, they meet again second to the last week in the season. So that'll be fun, Brian. I hope to. Well, we'll see what happens, I guess. Those have been some fun matches if you guys are neutrals. That's a really weird, weird rivalry that's popping up and two teams that play each other really tight. But a good win for Indy. They definitely, deserved it and hung in there and did well. But Bethlehem really not happy to get a bad result there.
McInerney looked good throughout the whole game, so I'm glad he was the one that got that goal. Also, Bethlehem Steel not looking as Bethlehem Steely as usual, looking a little rough. And Evan, I was curious if maybe that's because that's like the downside of the senior team taking up a bunch of young guys and actually using they're playing the kids. You think that's part of it?
I mean, I'll get it. I guess we'll just talk about it now. That 4-1 win against Atlanta that they had to end the week was like everything just kind of fell into place. And you had guys, Michi Galina, Ferris, who is a riot. Brendan Aronson looked really good on the ball as the number 10. Prosper Chaluya, Olivier Mbiza, like that whole team just kind of clicked.
But Atlanta,
and that was Bethlehem at their best for sure.
And I think they had
Atlanta did look really bad, and Mitch Hildebrandt's
on the bench
distribution off of the, out of goal kicks was atrocious, which didn't help. But I mean, it's a good press by Bethlehem, and they get a really solid win against Atlanta, and they pad that goal differential stat, which I think might be important come October.
True.
Moving on from there, what do we have? Because I scrolled down. Seattle Sounders 2-0. Really quick goal for Seattle. Second minute, and then they get two more in the second half with David Estrada getting a penalty kick, and then Lamar Nagel, speaking of MLS guys getting loaned down to USL, with the third goal. Vegas with 2 red cards. Oh, man, this team is great. The gift that keeps on giving. Ryan, with this game, S2 in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, S2 basically get a much needed win from this match. From previous matches, they had lost. It was all the way back to June 10th, which was a 2-1 win over Oklahoma City was their last result. So they definitely needed this result, and to get 3 goals is definitely a confidence booster. Phil, you had a tweet about the red card gift on Las Vegas that you definitely wanted to discuss on.
Oh my gosh, I'm opening it right now because I don't even remember this. I'm so sorry. I think I'm over-tweeting right now.
Pony,
yes, I'm watching.
It was bad.
So bad. Yeah, Pony.
Hold on.
I mean, it's one of those that I think is if it's 3 games, that's light. If it's 3 games, that is a very light suspension.
Yes.
Because there's like, the reckless 2-foot tackles or the putting your hands on someone's face or neck area or throwing the elbow. Then there's charging in full speed with elbow to the face.
Like the ball's gone.
I would honestly.
I like that he stops.
I would not be upset.
No,
the man stops moving and he's like, "Wait a minute! If I just take 2 more steps and throw my elbow at this guy, I got it. I'm great."
Yeah. So if Wellsman got 3, this guy better get a hell of a lot more, right? Everybody.
Yeah,
4 or 5.
I think I said I said a minimum 4. I'd say 6.
I'm up for 6. Yeah. The more I talk about it, the more I think he deserves well over 3 or 4. Yeah.
I mean,
live stream, folks. Link in the chat.
at least for me, I'm thinking the people who have the worst 3 fouls I've seen, this probably becomes number 3 behind the Romeo Parks kick, the fall bite, and now this elbow.
Oh my god,
Oh,
so bad.
guys, I'm really glad Carl Wieman's back in USL. Just as an aside.
Yeah. Okay, he's not doing that well.
No, he's with Indy. He's fine. He's great.
Oh, sorry.
He's fine. Yeah.
I thought you said Romeo Parks. My mistake.
Oh, no. Sorry. No, I'm very much not happy he's back in USL. Carl, we met the guy he kicked. Was the next game fun too? Kind of. Less fun. Ottawa 0, Louisville 3. Paulo Del Piccolo, Paco Craig, Devin Williams 3 goals. They do get a red card in the 77th. For a team with no head coach,
yeah,
you could be fooled that they still have, James O'Connor there. Especially by the way Orlando City's been playing as of late. You could definitely still convince me that James O'Connor is with Louisville and not Orlando.
They seem to have figured it out, almost like they had a couple losses in a row and kind of woke up like, okay, guys, we gotta figure this out. We gotta go back to what O'Connor was doing. And you're right. Say what you just typed because that's big.
I think I saw somewhere online that they should be announcing a head coach by the end of the week, but I will say Louisville has done a much better job of coaching by committee of their players than Argentina did in the World Cup.
Hey, got him. Yes. I saw that tweet too, though, Ryan. So I think that's legit. Next week, Louisville will have a coach.
It took them a bit to start their search, but I'm not surprised that they're closing in on somebody soon because I'm sure that's a job a lot of people wouldn't mind having.
What's the
right.
Yeah?
If they've turned the corner, they're back to one of the big contenders in the East. I think it's basically Cincinnati, Charleston, Louisville, and Pittsburgh right now, and everyone else will take a miracle to really do much.
Yeah.
UA ratings say the same thing.
Fair enough.
Who's the rumored coach that ran for U.S. soccer president? I'm so bad with names. What's his name?
Eric Winalda.
Yeah, I would love it if that happened. I'm sure it won't, but wouldn't that
Caleb Porter still available? What do you think, Kev?
Just name all the best coaches that.
No, Caleb Porter definitely has like a year-long. No, it wouldn't matter because it's USL, but I don't think they can hire him. Kev, speaking of the Portland Timbers, or the University of Akron, you guys played a very interesting game against the Los Angeles Galaxy in which you guys, as you're wont to do, forgot how to play defense.
Well, yeah, T2 hasn't played defense in five or 6 matches.
I guess
LA2
forgetting
doesn't play
implies that you
yeah, LA2 doesn't play defense either. So very similarly to the first match that these two teams played this season. It was a high-scoring affair. And similarly to the first one, T2 came out victorious. But with the way both of these teams play against each other, A, not surprising, and B, it could have easily been 4-4, 5-4 to LA's advantage, short of a few fantastic saves by McIntosh. Could have also been 5-3 to T2's way. I'm glad it ended the way it did, obviously. I'm glad that the Timbers have at least gotten, a one game out where they kind of put some goals in the net, because that's going to be helpful if they're going to continue to leak goals in the back. Right. Foster Langsdorff got 2 goals. He's now up to 10. I believe that's tied for 3rd in USL, or at least was at the time that the game finished. But and I have to double check. I don't know for sure, but I think Foster scoring 10 goals might be the first time a T2 player has scored double-digit goals in the season. And 10 goals across like 16 games, however many he's played, is pretty darn fantastic turnout. Yeah. And relating to the kind of Adi thing, a lot of people in Portland, maybe even people in USL, are kind of wondering, why? 2 reasons. Why did Adi want to leave Portland? He wanted to leave Portland, by the way, because he wasn't getting starting minutes. Armenteros kind of took that spot from him. And then, what's going to happen with Langsdorff and Jeremy? Are they going to move up from Portland? Are they going to be back up? And I don't think anything's really going to change for Portland. They are not done making moves, so they'll probably spend money they have, maybe some of that TAM that they can pull forward. That sounds like they'll probably go out to the market, domestic or foreign, and try to replace Adi as is. But obviously, Langsdorff doing fantastic for T2. I sincerely hope that they continue to do well for T2, continue to score goals, and then next season, well, I would love to see what they can do for the first team.
Yeah. The oldest rivalry in USL back underway. Did they play each other earlier this year? Or is this the first meeting?
I think they've played.
Yeah. Anyway, the latest installment of the oldest rivalry in USL, just to cover myself. Charleston 3, Richmond 0. This was a beatdown. Nico Rittermeyer gets his first 2 professional goals. And Atula Guerra still likes to score a bunch. They did play earlier this year. 2-0 win for the Battery, right? Nah, for Richmond. Damn it. Thanks, Brian.
Proof stat robot. He just immediately that they played earlier this year.
Ryan, you should just say these things and stop typing them.
I don't want to
You can interrupt me. No, you're fine. I talk way too much.
What I thought was more interesting from this match was Richmond led in the total shot battle 21-6, and they failed to score on. Not only did they fail to score on 21 shots, but they were outscored by 3 goals when Charleston, on their 6 shots, half of them were on target. All of them were in the back of the net.
Yeah. I think Drew on target, huge Battery fan, friend of the show, and that we have talked to him before, said something about how like everybody, not just us, but like everyone was like, oh, it's a rebuilding year for Charleston. They lost all their players. And now here they are.
Yeah, I think
and why we thought differently is dumb.
Yeah, Charleston, I think, is the biggest pleasant surprise team of the season.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I respect that coach a lot.
Augie.
Get his name. Augie.
Mike Anhauser. You got to know where you came from, Phil. Come on, man. Killing me.
I'm really bad about that. The shield. Fair
enough. It could be decided this week, actually. I think if a draw happens in one of the games Wednesday, it stays in Charleston. So it's been a pretty one-sided competition, unfortunately, so far in the 2 years of it. Next match, North Carolina FC 2, Pittsburgh Riverhounds 1. This started an interesting week for Pittsburgh. I think we also cursed them by saying Bob Lilly was hands down the best coach the first half of the season, which is still true because it's past that now. But they haven't gotten great results since.
Yeah.
How about it?
North Carolina, like, they willed these goals in. You know, it wasn't like pretty necessarily, but willing goals in is maybe the best way to beat Pittsburgh. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, those guys, they take a licking if they don't score and win every single game, or don't avoid even one goal in. So North Carolina did it maybe the way you have to do it against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, this was the first time Pittsburgh scored and lost all season.
Jeez. So crazy.
Still, Lily Ball is still dangerous. No matter, it always has the potential to knock someone out.
Fernando Adi is shaking in his soccer boots at the thought of facing a Bob Lilly team.
Facing friend of the show, Hugh Roberts?
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
Fernando Adi fears no man. Can confirm.
Just saying to kind of give you an idea of how overpowered he would be at this level. Yeah. He ain't gonna blink at a Bob Lilly defensive block.
No.
Just saying.
No, he's just gonna push one of them aside.
He's tall. He is fast, but he is strong. So
he's one of those guys.
I wish Lasso played for Pittsburgh, and I want to see Adi versus Lasso.
They have to train together.
They do. That would be fun to watch too. We got to get pictures of that from CSD.
Yeah, someone's just got to tell us what happened when they like touched for the first time. Did something explode off in the distance?
Perhaps.
Maybe. The best love, the best romantic novel we didn't know we needed. Fernando in a forest. Story of Fernando Adi and Forest Lasso.
Anyway. Version of Jungle Fever, perhaps.
Maybe. I was thinking more like Boogie Nights.
Yeah, that's better. It's more fun.
Yeah. Anyway, Charlotte won, Penn FC won. The guys over at Talking Jacks, hi Ben, well, mostly Ben, actually, Soccer Goose. We're not happy about this, like at all. Nor should they have been. Yeah, listen, Penn FC's a much better side than a lot of people give them credit for. We give them credit for. We thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season, et cetera, et cetera. But you still got to think that Charlotte should come out on top here.
Yeah. It's just the defense against offense. Charlotte was going to throw a lot at them. They weren't going to stop playing their game of possession and ball on the ground. And Penn FC was just going to defend and launch it. And
see, but it's weird because, Charlotte didn't get any looks, really. Ryan, just say it.
Oh,
wow. Look at that.
With Penn FC getting 11 total shots in this match, but still only 2 shots on target and Charlotte scoring their only goal of the night with 1 shot on target. The only thing I was going to say was that Penn FC may have the potential to get hot down the stretch. They have their final 9 home games, so basically from September 8th through October 13th, their final 9 games all being played at home.
Yeah, I was way off base. It was the opposite.
Yeah, we give you Ryan gives you these notes lovingly before the show starts. Anyway.
And then he adds him halfway through the show.
Yeah, well, whatever. He doesn't think he can talk yet.
That's because he's interesting scenario out east right there. I know I do know my projection thing, and between right now Ottawa's 7th and Charlotte's in 13th, and they're only separated by 8 points. There's a big contingent of teams who are playoff viable in there, and Penn's they're in the middle of that group too. So
yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Penn take the 8th seed to end the season.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time we had a team. Oh, I was saying the last time that we had a team moving up to MLS in their final year, they were knocked out by the then Harrisburg City Islanders in the first round of the playoffs.
But Penn is a brand new team we've never heard of before.
Yeah,
what are
Ryan,
you talking about?
True.
They don't understand what you mean. That's a brand new team. They have no history.
Love it.
Moving on, there was some fun discussion from our dear friends in Tampa Bay about this one. Tampa Bay Rowdies 2, New York Red Bulls 2-2, meaning that Tampa Bay scored twice and the Baby Bulls also scored twice. Also, when you say Baby Bulls, does anyone else think of the cheese Baby Bell that comes in the red? Anyway. No? Okay.
Well, now.
Fair enough.
Lactose intolerant.
Ah, boo. Jared Stroud scored in the 2nd minute. Stefano Bonomo scores against his old team twice in 2 minutes? Is that real? That's amazing. Junior Flemings gets a red card in the 45th against his former team. Mike Pendleton wasn't very happy about it. Our dear friend at Fat PHAT 7 Deuce. Absolute BS in Tampa Bay. 6 announced minutes of first half stoppage. Fleming's red card and Collins sent off after 8 minutes of stoppage, 10 minutes of extra time given. I just looked at his Twitter banner photo. It's Zlatan, the Rowdies kit. It's really good. Yeah, and then the follow-up tweet to that was that there's some diving perhaps being coached in Red Bull land. I guess speaking to the first one first, not to be that guy, but the PA announcement and etc. is always there will be a minimum of blank minutes of stoppage time. Apparently the referee saw something that warranted more time, and Flemings got sent off in that more time. So, guys, I guess your thoughts on having that much extra time?
I think the extra time was less of a problem than calling what happened a red card. It was the wrong call, yeah. But the extra time made it so much worse. It just felt like it was handled wrongly on multiple levels.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of agree with Mike Pendleton to a certain degree, but it happens. This has happened to every single team in USL at some point.
Yeah. Kev, Boney, Ryan, anybody?
Not much. I think it's one of those where it shouldn't happen. The ref should probably be on top of it, but as a player, you got to be careful and actually not let it happen.
Yeah. Fair enough. Man, Rowdy's still not figuring out that form that we all thought they were going to have.
Yeah, no kidding. I think, well, I'd probably not say that they're the biggest disappointment of the season, but they are probably in the conversation at least.
To be fair, none of us thought that Stuart Campbell was going to leave, and maybe if we figured that out somehow, I don't think any of us would have been like, they're going to move Neil Collins to their bench and make them their head coach.
Well, yeah, I don't think we expected the exodus of players and everything that happened. It's one of those, if you knew Louisville was going to lose their coach halfway through the season, you wouldn't have put them as the number one team in the East either. But our number one, number two teams lost their coach.
Yeah. Second match for San Antonio of the week, they beat Oklahoma City 2-1. Dear friend Harry at Raymond Cole, hi Harry, was there. Said he had a great time, very complimentary of the Oklahoma City staff. Harry, I wonder if that is not just because you won. Always seems to make away days a little nicer. Regardless, Phil, you wanted to talk about this one.
Oh yeah, San Antonio. So
Yeah,
I mostly wanted to talk about Ward because he got 100% completion percentage on 26 passes, something like that. That may be way off, but I mean, this guy is someone to watch. I think they picked him up from Houston / Rio Grande Valley, and he's doing really well for this team. They got to keep playing him. He scored a banger last time, and with 90% percentage, and yeah, he's gonna be someone special, maybe someone to compete with. Aiden Quinn is one of the best midfield in USL.
Yeah, and I mean, San Antonio is good. They are actually doing what we thought they were going to do.
They're okay.
I mean, it was one of those. I think at the start of the season, we had them like their number 3, number 4 team in the West, and then they fell off the face of the earth to start. And they've really recovered well, and they're back around that level. I wouldn't be at all surprised if they actually managed to scrap their way back into like the 4th seed in the West right now.
Yeah, the thing that bothers me is it was kind of peaking down low and then peaking high right now. I think they'll even out a little bit at some point. I may be wrong, but they are just so incredibly hot right now, doing so well against competition that I just don't think they'll sustain it, but we will see. We will see. It is possible.
Yeah. See, my projection has them finishing 6th right now.
Wow. That's
about right.
Yeah, that's big though.
Yeah. Speaking of RGV, Phil, they scored once in a 1-0 win over Colorado Springs. Yeah, I mean, Colorado's good. They just don't have that offensive input that you'd expect, and especially, I mean, earlier in the week, losing one of your big, playmakers off the bench, or even just, in the starting 11 when you have them there. Unenviable task here against RGVFC, who's solid.
RGV's good at home.
Yeah, they are. And they get a 1-0 win. So
I say, if you had to guess, how many games has Colorado Springs lost 1-0 this season so far?
Oh, I don't know, 10.
That is correct.
Hey!
This was their 10th 1-0 loss of the season.
That's bad.
Wow.
That is not good.
That is very painful.
Do you know like what the second highest number is?
I'd have to look to see what it is.
I didn't know if that was like you did a thing and found that out, or
no. I've been watching since I keep seeing all these 0-1 score lines.
Right. You're like,
every week.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, how many games through the season are they? 20.
They're 24 in.
24 in. So that's roughly half your games losing 1-0.
Yeah, that's impressive.
But I mean, it's impressive in a bad way. Oh, it's not great. You would think they would try to find somebody to score, but who knows? Maybe not.
Well, they rotate guys.
That's fair.
Yeah. As far as I've seen a few of their games, and every time I watch a game, it's like a different striking.
It's a different team.
Yeah, it really basically is. And they've got so many talented guys, but they just rotate them all in and out.
Yeah.
Better off sharing or keeping the same guy in there.
Apparently it's hurting them though. No one's able to stay hot.
I think so.
And at least to speak to RGV, they're currently on a 6-match unbeaten streak, including wins over Colorado Springs and Las Vegas Lights, with currently it looks like 4 shutouts within that time. Or sorry, 5 shutouts in that time, including a 0-0 result against Phoenix.
Kev, you're out there in the West. Any thoughts on Colorado or RGV?
Nope.
Fair. Fair enough. Battle of 1 and 2 in the Western Conference, right? Real Monarchs. This I didn't expect this. Real Monarchs 4, Phoenix Rising 1. Oh, sorry, I missed a game. I apologize. Before that happened, Tulsa 1, Fresno 1. Tulsa gets both goals. Ryan, just say it. Ryan.
Yeah, Tulsa had Isaac Diaz score in it, but they also got the own goal for Fresno in the 63rd minute.
That's the definition of you score that goal and Isaac Diaz is asking Brandon Cervania to pick up the tab at the next dinner, right? Has to be. Especially in the 90th minute, too, to get a draw. One of those games, so like as much as I've really been impressed with Fresno, it's one of those you gotta win that, right?
Yeah, this is disappointing for Fresno, who's trying to make that one of those last playoff spots. I think we all, at least I know that's kind of high end to start the season. I still think they're decent, but they can't drop points like this. If they want to be a playoff team, they have to be able to mop up the ones that they're supposed to win. Granted, it was on the road, but you should be getting 3 points from Tulsa more often than not.
Yeah. Anyway, now we can talk about 1v2 in the West. Monarchs 4, Phoenix Rising 1. Sebastian Velasquez, Mike DeFont, I guess, with an own goal. Chandler Hoffman, who just signed for Birmingham, no?
Yes.
And Andrew Brody. And then Kalen Ryden with the own goal for Phoenix. So Real Monarchs score 5 times. Gladson Owako gets a red in the 62nd, which didn't help things. By that point, you're down 2. There's 2 goals for SLC after that are just kind of extra.
Well, they technically scored 3 after that.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, the 2 that counted for your team after that are extra. Really cool tweet by friend of the show, Sam Dorr, after the match, where he said he'd much rather have, a really interactive and passionate fan base like they have, and seeing people be mad about it on Twitter is in a way kind of cool. But disappointing result here for Phoenix Rising for sure. You definitely want to make a statement against a team like Real Monarchs, where we all just kind of assume they're untouchable, and this match didn't do anything to change, at least my mind. Anybody else here maybe swayed a little bit by Phoenix's performance?
Well, they have had a couple of losses, this over the summer after the issues with their coach.
Yeah,
a little bit of a slump, but obviously they're still getting out some wins. This one against Phoenix, I think, pretty much helps them cement really their position, the good distance they have over everyone else in the Western Conference. So even if they do go on a slump again or further or whatever, towards the end of the season, they'll end up in a top spot for sure, without question.
I think just like hints at some of the things that Pony says about Cincinnati, where Cincinnati spent the most money and they sometimes struggle against some of the best teams in the league. This reeked of that a little bit, in that and Phoenix should be able to beat someone like Real Monarchs, only because of the money they spend, the kind of club they are, what they're aiming for.
Yeah,
I think Phoenix fans should be pretty disappointed at this. Not to say Real Monarchs are not maybe the best team in the league. I think we'll find out later this year, perhaps. But I think Phoenix fans should expect better.
Yeah. Phil, you guys had quite the match.
Oh man, this one was scary because Reno went down to 10 men early on, red card at 15 minutes, and boy, it was really weird because in the first 15 minutes, Reno was like kicking the ball out of bounds to nobody half the time, and they seemed really angry, like right from the get-go, like people were pushing and kicking and fouling everywhere on Reno, especially. I don't know if St. Louis brought that out of them, or I feel like something weird's happening with Reno right now. I don't really know, But they were frustrated, and they got a red card early that was well-deserved. There was a PK where there was a foul in the box. There might have been 2, honestly, throughout the game that were pretty clear, that even the announcers were saying, oh, that might have been in the box, so I'm not being super biased. Man, it was just an ugly game. But that said, Reno defended so well with 10 men / St. Louis cannot attack for the life of them. And what bothered me, and I don't know if you guys see this, or I need advice in this way, in that we keep bringing our central midfielders back. We played with 3 in the back in this game, which I thought was nice, but we kept bringing our 2 central midfielders back to collect the ball. So even before we start attacking, we got 5 guys behind their 10 remaining players, and we're attacking with 5 more. That's not a good way to attack a 10-man defense. But that being said, Reno scored a shorthanded goal. So I just don't know what to think. I just feel like St. Louis can't attack well, that Pulis is perhaps earning his name in St. Louis. That makes sense to people. Yep. And it's starting to feel that way because we couldn't easily defeat a 10-man Reno. We seriously won on like blood and guts. Like, there was a long throw in that was the second one in a row that happened. You know, Sam Fink did what he does and got a set piece goal. And the other one was on a PK. So I'm worried about St. Louis, to be honest with you, after this game. But the will to win is there. And that's the only thing that might get them in the playoffs this year.
The only thing I will say is coaches don't change their tactics when they go up a man as much as you would think or hope, maybe sometimes.
I agree with you.
So I think that was Pulis just sticking to his system like his dad does. And you know, it works. He knows what he's doing. The team knows what they want to do. The way they play isn't conductive to a ton of goals.
Right.
And I think for him to suddenly flip a switch, especially early, and go, hey, you know, we're going to start just throwing bodies forward now, would be a little weird. And I feel like you'd have guys out of position more often than not. So yeah, I always feel that same way. Like if, you know, a team will go down a man and I'm like, all right, why didn't that end 4-1? And you watch it back and, you know, it's not as easy as it might sound to score up a man.
I will say, I think you're dead on there, Evan. And I just want to say, to his credit, he did pull both fullbacks / wingbacks out at the half and put in an extra midfielder that can be more attacking in Wallfall. We all know who he is.
Who got a goal?
And also added in a winger, an attacking winger, rather than keeping those fullbacks in. So to his credit, he did that.
Cool. Anyone else with thoughts on that one?
Reno's good too. I think that's part of it.
16-match unbeaten streak, by the way, you guys snapped for Reno. 5 in a row with wins. So no slouches there in the Western Conference for sure.
Yep. Yeah, I think a lot like Charleston, we thought these guys would regress because they lost a lot of the big names.
Yes, we did.
Of course, they have one of them back now on loan, but
yeah. Pro tip, next year, 2019 USL teams, if you want us to discredit you and then play really well, just get rid of a couple of your players. That'd be great. Real quick, I talked about it earlier. If anyone has any questions or anything about the Bethlehem game over Atlanta, feel free. Congratulations on first professional goals for Aiden Apodaca. Ferris, I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name, nor has he ever said it. So Ferris and Brendan Fearless Aronson. I will say, I had a tweet before the game started, and I can openly talk about this now, even though I think you guys all know the story. So I call Brendan Aronson fearless because he's the one kid. It's him and his younger brother Paxton, who are on the Union's like kit unveil video where they walk from Center City, Philly, and they end up at a Town Energy Stadium. So it's a neat video. It's cool. Brendan Aronson is in fact fearless in that he ran pretty much full speed into Forest Lasso the 3rd, 4th, 5th week of the season. Brendan Aronson is A, 17, and B, tiny. Forest Lasso is a grown-ass man. He didn't do it purposely, but Brendan Aronson broke his collarbone by running into Forest Lasso. Which is ironic because, you know, fearless. So A, credit to the kid for coming back in like 4 months because when you're 17, you can do that. And B, man got an assist and a goal and was nominated for Player of the Week this week. So super credit to a 17-year-old for doing those things. It's always crazy to me when teenagers go out and get theirs. But also some really nice goals there by Aiden Apodaca and Ferris, who also had an assist actually on Aronson's strike. So really solid performance from Bethlehem. Atlanta with a really nice bike kick, although I do not blame Matt Mahoney for not wanting to get kicked in the face. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about that.
Well said.
Thank you. I guess we'll get plugs out of the way. I'll start with the show. Real quick, if you guys want us to do this every week and I'll just have to come up with something else for Patreon, let us know. I like having other people to talk to that can tell us things that we don't know or forget.
Me too.
It's good. And for Taylor and Goose and Brian Cook and Harry and I know Alan's here, Zach was here at a point. All you guys joined us this week. Thank you for coming. Couple plugs real quick. The USLshow.com. That's where you're going to find everything that you could possibly want to know about us. All of our episodes are linked to our Patreon, patreon.com/the USL show. I just fooled around with that, so feel free to check it out. I will also say if you didn't get your sticker yet, let me know address because we ask for it when you sign up for Patreon. But I lost count of who has and who does not have stickers. Please don't lie to me. Thank you. And you can also find a link to our dear friend Soccer Loco. DK, who is a wonderful person and a really cool guy out in San Diego, California, does a lot for the soccer scene out there. They need a pro team, by the way, just saying. That would be cool. And then we can be done with soccer teams in California. But San Diego gets a team, and then we're good. So check those guys out. It's a link, USLshow.com. There's a little blue box, or if you're colorblind, it's a gray box. Click on that, buy some stuff. We get a kickback on that. So thank you very much. And then I guess for me personally, if you'd like to hear or see any more of my tweets or anything like that, at Villela V as in Victor, ILLELLABSFC. Kev, where can people find you and things and talk about Play with Kids?
Let's see. I'm on Twitter at KMcCamishPDX. I'm at PTK Podcast. Sometimes you can find me behind at Stumptown Footy, tweeting T2 matches. Obviously I'm here as well. Playthekids.com, stumptownfooty.com. Lots of places to find me.
Randomly in Portland, maybe? Who knows?
I do have my face out there. People in town have recognized me and said hello, and I appreciate it when I say that.
That's really crazy.
It is crazy.
It's terrifying, actually. I haven't had that happen yet. I'm very glad for it. Can people find you, and what's my favorite airport abbreviation?
So you can find me on Twitter at ILM_Ryan. I write at Indomitable City Soccer alongside Pony, and as well as Soccer on Sweet Tea here based in the Carolinas.
Concise. I like it. It's also not my favorite abbreviation, but that's okay. I lied to get you to shill. It's fine. Pony, where can people find?
At Twitter on, as always, at Iron Pony Chef. Good spot for some numbers and.
Stop it.
What?
They have to at Twitter and then at you.
Yeah, just do both. Why not? I mean,
yeah, like everything goes through a vetting process. Where like if they're mean to you on the internet, you just get them blocked forever.
Hey, if that happens, Cincinnati's fan base would be a lot quieter.
Oh, good. Phil, where can people find you and the like?
STL Soccer Report. I do a little bit there, but mostly Phil Grooms, 2 L's, 2 O's. That's me on Twitter.
You're also here, man. And we're glad that you're here.
I'm so glad I'm here. I missed you guys when I was gone.
Yeah, for sure. Well, guys, thanks for listening. If you're listening on the podcast, we appreciate it. We appreciate anyone that listens to this any way they get it, because, oh my God, there's so many of you. It's crazy. It blows my mind. I'm just going to show a couple other episodes we did. Really good interview, I think. I do them, so I'm biased, with Andrew Weber, who is a part of the USA Six-a-side. He's also a goalkeeper for Sporting Arizona FC. in the NPSL, I believe, and is a former USL pro guy back in the day. Really good stuff with him. Also, a really good talk with Phoenix Rising's vice president of sales and marketing and pretty much everything else for that club, Sandor. Go check that one out for a really cool perspective on things. But other than that, guys, we'll talk to you next week, and take care. All right.